day 4 of trying to make as many Christmas projects as possible with my hard-to-use Christmas stash. So far, I've made gift tags, an accordion fold Christmas card, and a scrapbook layout. This is all part of my 12 Days of Christmas Stash Busting Challenge. Here are the rules. Rule number 1, each project needs to include at least one ugly Christmas pattern paper. I know Christmas sweaters are a thing, but are ugly Christmas papers a thing too? Rule number 2, no new supplies are allowed. I can only use what's in my stash. Rule number 3, projects need to be completed in an hour or less and be simple and fun to make, so you can join me and create these for your family and friends. I hope you're ready to add some Christmas sparkle into your projects, because today I'm making some surprisingly simple, fast and easy Christmas cards. I'll be creating with 5 separate ugly pattern papers. This is the perfect last minute Christmas card design. We're going to be able to make all 5 of these in less than an hour. I'll start out with a super simple version that anyone can make, and then I'll show you how you can add some sparkle to take this design to the next level. I'll be working with Mittens and Mistletoe collection today, and here's my very first tip for you. If you want to make cards super fast, you need to start out with some pre-made card bases, just like these ones here. The second thing you want to do is keep your design very simple. What's even better is a design that is scalable. What do I mean by scalable? I mean that the design can be scaled to be more complicated or less complicated depending on how much time you have. But that's not all I mean. I also mean scalable in a way that they can be created in batches. Each card that I'll be making today is going to start with a simple pattern paper background. I'll then be adding some form of pre-made sentiment on top. This is an ugly pattern paper challenge, so we better find one. This one's not super ugly, but it is a lot to work with. Normally I would fussy cut out florals like that rather than using them as one full sheet. I've chosen this one too because those wonky lines just make my head hurt. Here's my card base. All I need to do is score it in half. I hope you're ready for some controversy. I know the card purists are going to be mad. I avoid measuring things at all costs, because maths is hard. All I do is place the pattern paper over the card base and then mark it with my pencil and cut on that line. For this card, I've done that with my pattern paper and then again with a piece of vellum. I'm also going to use a bunch of these sentiments from this cut apart sheet, so I'll get those ready in advance. The vellum on this card actually has 2 jobs to do. Job number 1 is to make that print on the busy paper there a little more subtle. Job number 2 is to help create a pocket, because this card is going to be a shaker card. If you're short on time, skip the shaker pocket part. Just add the pattern paper and then a layer of vellum over the top. If you do have extra time, creating a pocket for some sequins here will take this card to the next level. I've stitched around 3 sides of the card base here, and that creates a pocket and a little opening at the top that I can add the sequins to. Once the sequins are inside, I can then run the top edge through my sewing machine and seal everything up. You'll also notice that I create all of my card fronts very separate to the bases. That's my very simple way to hide the stitching. It's now time to add a sentiment that we pre-cut earlier, and that card is done. On to the next ugly paper, because I am using 5 today. This one is hard for me to use because it has snowflakes printed on it. I am going to hide those a little by adding another sheet of vellum here. Look away if you're a card making purist, because there is no measuring happening here. I am going to secure the pattern paper to the vellum with a piece of double-sided tape, and I've positioned that in the center because I know my sentiment's going to go on top. I have created another shaker pocket. This one has gold sequins inside, and then I also did add some stitching onto that sentiment piece just to have yet another little detail. I'm sure you're noticing by this point that all of the cards do look similar, but different. And that's because they're all just following this same formula, a pattern paper base and then a sentiment on top. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, you can just keep doing what's working. Here's another ugly pattern paper. This one is far too busy for my liking. I'm not going to be adding a shaker to this one because I did want to get all 5 of these cards created in an hour. I do want to do a little bit more though than just the card base and the sentiment. I'm going to go with this really cute blue one here. It does need trimming down a little and I am going to add stitching. I'm also going to add a small piece of vellum just to mat the sentiment. Any of your leftover vellum scraps are perfect for this idea. The print is still pretty busy, but adding the sentiment on top really does make a difference. This idea is one of 20 ways that I shared in this video right here. It is not part of this series, but I know you'll find it super helpful, so I'll be sure to link it below. It's time to add the card front onto the card base, and I do use double-sided tape for that. For the sentiment though, I do want a little bit of dimension, so I am going to use some 3D foam here. It's a really good detail to add if you're short on time. So if you're not doing the sequin pockets, if you're not adding stitching, I would still recommend that you add in that foam. On to the next ugly pattern paper, and this one is a lot for me. I actually think it's the yellow, and that's funny because I love scrapbook collections with yellow in them, but for this paper, I just feel like it's a little bit too much. Do you like working with the traditional Christmas colours or do you prefer the more modern ones? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, I also want to know if you're joining in on the challenge. What have you been making? Have you shared your projects in the Facebook group? If not, be sure to check the description box below for details on that. The card front is now ready to attach to my base, and I am going to cover up a large portion of this very busy print with this sentiment. That paper is so busy, I needed to choose something very simple in very coordinated colours. And that's my cards complete. I have made all 5 within the hour and used 5 different ugly pattern papers. I could make cards like these all day. There's something special about keeping things simple, especially in this super busy season. Speaking of simple, tomorrow's project starts with one of the most basic supplies that we all have to work with. It's one of my most favourite ideas yet. Be warned though, you could get addicted to making these. I'll leave a link to that tutorial right here and I'll see you all again very soon. Until then, bye!